Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
What if I'm starting today off with a question. What if your church's promotional efforts allowed you to build, nurture, and develop relationships and kickstart discipleship opportunities before your guests even entered the building? What would change if someone came into your building for the first time and you already knew their name, you've already prayed for them, you already knew their kids' names, and instead of it being a, hey, tell me about yourself, it's, hey, I'm so glad to see you here. And that's what we're going to talk about right now today in the show. We're talking about building relationships with your church guests before they even step foot in the building. And I understand that church guest is probably not the right moniker. I'm not even sure if we have a word for who these people are. I mean, maybe your neighbors. Build a relationship with your neighbors before they set foot in the building. There are lots of new opportunities out there for pastors and leadership to spark relationships and kickstart discipleship without even them coming to the building. And I'm not necessarily talking about online ministry. This is not a replacement for fellowship, for community, for gathering, for in-person services. This is not a replacement. This is merely the introduction we're talking about. Because again, I want you to know their names and how you can serve and support these families, these people, these neighbors, these future brothers and sisters, these creations of God, whatever you want to call them. I want you to have a relationship with them without relying on them coming to your building or coming to your office during a certain time of the week. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about something called connection points. We're going to talk about nurturing the conversation to build a relationship, and then how to make sure they don't fall behind, fall through the gaps. And I'm very excited for this episode today. If I seem a little tired or a little amped, I was up at 3:30 this morning with our little boy. He decided he couldn't wait until everyone else woke up. He's normally a sleeper throughout the night, and he just couldn't wake up. So I'm going to be maybe a little bit more distracted, maybe a little bit more chasing the rabbit trails, but I pray that it is still incredibly valuable to you. If this is your first time watching, or even the second or third time watching, my name is Justin Nava. I run Nava Church Marketing. We help you get in front of more people. We build your branding foundation so you know exactly who you are and how to communicate yourself. We maximize your discoverability so people looking for churches, ministries, support, or even things like prayer and kids activities, they can find you, and then we maximize attention going out and putting you in front of new audiences. And what we're talking about today is when you do get in front of those new people, how can you spark a relationship without relying on them to plan a visit? You know, speaking of plan a visit, nothing against the plan a visit tools and softwares and strategies and tactics out there. I think it can be very valuable. I think we've swung the pendulum a little too far. And again, nothing against the people that are using it, and certainly nothing against my friends that built it. Plan a visit can often be a way to bring people into the comfort of making a visit to a new place. However, I think we substitute, just like we've substituted discipleship for consumerism in church, where instead of the people being active in building relationships and sharing Christ and leading people to Christ and growing the kingdom that way, we've substituted as, just come to church and let the pastor take care of it. right? I think we want to go back to that active discipleship role in the church. Just like we've substituted that discipleship for consumerism, I think we've substituted, or we're on the brink of allowing planning a visit to substitute actually engaging people in relationship. Because you and I know, Pastor, that people can come to church and never talk to anyone. They can fall through the cracks. And I don't care how small you are. You could be in a... I've seen this before, and it's so painful, but it's so true. And until we admit this, we cannot move forward. I've been in churches, I've been in churches, and I'm the outgoing guy. I'm like, yeah, okay. However, I've been in churches of around 30 people. I can think of one that was right around 30 and one that was probably closer to 50 or 60, where no one talked to my wife. And now granted, one time she was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. It's one of those days. My husband dragged me here. I hope she didn't mind me saying that. But the other time was like, we were actively looking for a church home and no one talked to her. It was the craziest thing. So this isn't a small church. This isn't a big church issue. Small churches need what we're about to talk about here because, again, I don't want to wait for someone to come into your building to start a relationship or even receive help, support, prayer, or even the good news, the truth, the gospel. I want them to connect with you where they are, because all in all, when it comes to marketing efforts and raising awareness and getting people to take action, because again, I don't want people just to know, even though this is the best known church show, we want to make you the best known organization in your community. I don't want them just to know about you. I want them to know why they should connect with you and how they should connect with you. And so again, we're focusing more on that, how they should connect with you, so that you can have more discipleship opportunities and you can have control of the ball. I don't want you to give them the ball and hope they come, right? Just like we used to put out church signs and billboards. I hope people driving by see it. No, I want to keep the ball. I want to control the ball. People who actually advance the kingdom hold the ball. And I know that's what you want, Pastor. So we're going to talk about, keeping hold of that ball so you can initiate, nurture, and build this relationship without relying on them. Because I think we know the enemy is always going to be at work creating distractions. And so we need to keep a hold of that ball. Going back to plan a visit. So, I think planning a visit is a great thing. We use plan a visit on our own websites. That's strategy. I'm not just talking about the tool itself called plan a visit. We're using the actual strategy as well, where people can go in, plan their visits, see what to expect, check in their kids, all that stuff. We use those on our websites. However, I think it's stopping short of real discipleship, quote unquote, initiation, activation, kickstart opportunities, whatever you might want to call it. So a good example of this is a church, and I've been telling the story all week. So I say last week, it might have been 2 weeks ago. I was talking to a church last week, and the pastor had mentioned that, they've done marketing attempts before, and in an average year, this is not a large church, around 100, if not sub 100. Said, over the course of a year, we tracked and we got 200 guests, 200 visitors, and only 2 stayed. And I know a lot of folks would be like, oh, I wouldn't kill. I would do a lot for 200 guests in a year. I mean, that's what, 4 a week? That's basically one family, 1 or 2 families every week. I think a lot of pastors would love that. And that's exactly what plan a visit gets you. The strategy, not necessarily, also the tool, but that's a part of the strategy. But 200 guests and only 2 stayed. My mind goes over to that 198. Not only why did they come back, but what is hindering them from coming back? Were they looking for a more consumer experience and instead they got a more discipleship focused experience? In which case, the messaging is wrong. Were they tricked into coming to visit and experiencing something that wasn't what they expected? In which case, it can come across deceptive, even with good intentions. Again, that's a little bit of a messaging, a little bit of a website content, a little bit of a website design issue. Or were they just new movers? They're going to find something in this area. There's only so many churches around. Maybe it was their turn. I think it was a combination of A and B. You know, a large churn being overturn, when people come and go, right? There's a revolving door in churches. It's due to the easiness of anonymity among your church guests. People can come to your church. They can plan a visit. You've got their contact info. Did you do anything with it? Minus the kids stuff. Did you do anything to those who planned to visit? Or did you just say, hey, we've got someone coming? Did you alert the guest ministry, the welcome ministry? Did you alert the ushers? Did you alert some volunteers, some outgoing volunteers? Hey, by the way, we've got a family. Don't know anything about them other than this is their names. They're going to have a kid. So are you checking to see if they're parking in your visitor spot? Are you checking to see if they're sitting in the visitor section of the seating? Are you looking for the people that are like looking a little wandering? And I'm not even saying, I saw Bill talking to them. They're taken care of. Bill ain't taking care of them. Bill's saying, hey, can I get you anything? No? Okay, thanks. That's not taking care of them. It is really hard to cultivate a one-on-one relationship in the context of a large gathering. It is a fact of rarity. In fact, I can tell you right now, I was at a birthday party for my wife's work friends, and spouses were invited. I'm sitting in the corner and meet another husband there. We strike it off because we have an IT background, and it turns out he's an entrepreneur as well. So we started talking about some different things. Got his phone number, and I'm like, hey, great, I'll give you a call sometime. And as I'm talking right now, I realize, dude, I met a guy at a party. I got his contact info, but I haven't really reached out to him or developed anything. There has to be something not only to cultivate the relationship there, but also have something that continues forward. And so I wouldn't want 200 people to come only for 2 to stay. If we're going to stay in that 2 range, I'd rather 20 people come and 18 stay, and maybe 2 don't come back, because you're not going to please everyone all the time. Otherwise, why are you a Christian? Or why are you a Bible-believing, God-fearing Christian, I should say. So let me get into this and talk about a few key points so that you can know exactly what opportunities are available to connect with people, but also what to do with those opportunities, how to meet them, how to get their attention, how to get them to take action. Because again, it's one thing to know there's a steakhouse down the road. It's another thing to know I'm going to go to that steakhouse down the road. And I'm a Texas boy. I love steak. So let's talk about this. You want to reach more people, but you don't want to just be aware you don't want to just be running awareness. You want to also have people engaged. There are so many people out there in your community that need your church, that need the gospel, that need your church to guide them to Jesus, but they don't know you. So how can you make them aware? And not only that, how can you make them engaged with you? It's one thing to know you. It's one thing to actually be in active conversation with you. And so what I encourage you to do, and what's available out there, are called connection points. Now, just this one topic alone, connection points, I could spend a whole day on, okay? In fact, I probably should do a course about it. When I say connection points, this is something that gets people's attention and gets them to do something. It's kind of like when you're walking down the street and someone tries to catch your attention, 2 things are going to happen. You are going to stop, give them the time of day, and actually interact with them. Or you're going to say, no thanks, not interested, keep walking. If you're polite, you say, no thanks, not interested. Otherwise, you just keep walking. So you have to decide when you offer these connection points that I'm about to show you, how are you going to approach people that may have heard of you but don't know you or haven't heard of you at all? You can be the guy, and I think a lot of churches be the guy, and you don't want to be this guy, but you could be the guy that says, hey, I've got a concert coming up. You want to come? Hey, I've got a coupon coming in my store. Hey, I got a free sample. Do you want a free sample? Hey, buddy, can you loan me $1? Hey, man, I need help getting home, right? You could be that guy and just ask for a transaction, or you could be the guy that actually makes you feel good for having struck up a conversation. Has anybody ever said, oh, you've been having your kid, anyone ever says, oh, what a sweet child, what a beautiful looking baby. I get that all the time. I got a beautiful son, 7 months old. He's adorable, even though he wakes me up at 3:30 in the morning. You ever decide, hey, I love your shoes. Where'd you get those shoes? Hey, nice. Do you ever buy a new car? Hey, nice car. I like that. That the new model? That stuff feels good. That's not transaction. That's someone trying to make your day better. And then maybe find out where you bought those shoes. Right? Or even better, like, you ever drop money and someone's like, hey, did you drop this? Hey, you dropped your checkbook. Hey, you dropped your wallet. Hey, you dropped this coin. Those are the meaningful interactions. And those are pretty much the two roads we can go down with our connection points. When we first appear in front of people, online or in person, we can say, hey, do this for me, or hey, can I do this for you? From there, you can build up the conversation if it makes sense and nurture the relationship. The good thing is with online, with the internet, we have unlimited opportunities with virtually unlimited people. I mean, you may say my city only has 14,000 people. I guarantee you 13,850 pass your church every day and don't even give you a second thought. So there needs to be some continuing of the conversation. And not only that, again, how many times you got to tell your kids to clean your room? How many times you got to make announcements before people sign up? How many times you got to remind some of your leaders, hey, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do this. Hey, even your tech booth, right? Hey, I want this light on this cue. I want this sound on this cue. I want this image to play during this part of my sermon. And they miss it because it wasn't rehearsed, because they weren't reminded. People need multiple reminders. So just because you interact with someone once doesn't mean you don't do it again. That's follow-up. We're going to get to that. So let me hone in on these connection points, these opportunities that are available for your church to start a conversation and start the relationship that can then be nurtured into a real discipleship opportunity. So again, when they visit your church for the first time, you already know their name. You already prayed for them. You already know exactly how to serve them, or where to plug them in, or who to connect them to, who to introduce them to. I got two for you today. Again, I could spend all day on this. I got two for you today. And that is number one, offer a resource. I think churches are pretty good about this, so I don't have to talk too much about this. You know, we send direct mailers to new movers, okay? We might give out devotionals. If you're a Living Waters guy, Ray Comfort, you might give out $1 with a little tract connected to it. Hopefully a real dollar. Don't give anyone fake money. Boy, that's annoying, even when you're a Christian. You know, however, I would encourage you to think about these resources. I want you to think about them like old Sunday school, okay? Sunday school, when it first started, was literally Sunday school. Kids were working in the factories or working on their farms and not good. They didn't have public school, right? There was no schooling opportunities. And so the church decided to step in. This started in the Northeast of America. You know, churches were saying, hey, our kids, they're not getting educated. They're not, you know, being, I guess, discipled. I don't know if they called it that back then, but they're not being educated. So why don't we open up a school for the community on Sundays when there's no work to be had so they can come in and learn how to read. And by the way, when you learn how to read, we're going to teach you through the Bible. And you're going to learn how to read the Bible. That's where we get the term Sunday school. It wasn't entirely just, hey, let's come learn about Jesus. It was, come learn how to read. I think we can go back to that, and we have new opportunities presenting themselves as these connection points to further educate, further inform, and further guide people in our neighborhood. And we can better equip them, which then raises our awareness, which raises our trust and authority to speak into their lives. And when they have a question, they'll think of us. Or when their friends have questions, they'll think of us as well. The ideas are really going to come down to what your church is good at, what you are good at. If you don't have a great kids ministry, I wouldn't put out parenting or kids resources or information or education, right? Because you have to have a path to guide them in and bring them into. So you could get as deep or as shallow as you want. There's no wrong answer here, okay? Speaking of new movers, you could do, hey, I know that as a connection point, I want to get in front of new movers, There's lots of connection points there. There's Facebook ads, direct mailers. There's door knocking campaigns. Yes, door knocking. That development that just came up with 300 houses, go knock on every one of them once a month. Mark down the ones that you don't have people. Go back and go to those next month. Lots of new ways to get in front of new people. And again, you can go deep or shallow. Shallow would be like, hey, we noticed you're new in town. I wanted to give you the top 10 recommendations. These are our favorite restaurants to go. These are our favorite banks to patron. This is a great gym that we like, whatever it is, right? And it's just, hey, we want to help you out. When I moved here, there was one neighbor, moved into this house two years ago. There was one neighbor, I asked him everything. Who's got good Mexican? Who's got good Chinese? Who's a good pediatric dentist? I asked him that. Where's the closest blue mailbox, right? I sent him tons of messages asking him for recommendations. And that was just because I'm trying to think of how I even met him. I think he commented on a Facebook group that we are in for our neighborhood. But people don't have that. It is very hard to make communications that way. I know that neighbor one street down better than I know the neighbors on both sides of me. So, being a resource like that for new families, it could be a handout. It could just be a business card. Hey, text this number if you got any questions about the area. We'll recommend dentists. We'll recommend banks. We'll recommend restaurants. Hey, no liability, right? But we'll send you to a good place. Know a good church? Hello. Maybe you partner with local organizations where parents are. Partner with the daycare. Hey, we're going to do some parenting classes on, raising a more, whatever you're good at. This is going to come down to your gifts, okay? I don't have the gift of taking care of children. I can take care of mine. I can kind of take care of my nieces. That's about it, okay? So I'm not the guy to go to kids. I wish I was. Let me tell you. I wish I was gifted in kids ministry and not marketing, and I wish I had a heart for kids ministry more than marketing. It's just not where I'm at. And of course, the first question every church we go to is, hey, can you volunteer in the kids ministry? No, you don't want me anywhere near there. I will take middle schoolers over elementary kids every day of the week. Give me hormones and angst over snot and diapers every day. So offering these resources. Now, if you're using digital outreach like we do, Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, that's a whole lot, it's more advanced, but even public relations, you can speak to certain topics you're good at. I had a pastor that used to be an accountant. He gave great financial advice. He was a big Dave Ramsey guy with some other benefits, like of just knowing how the finances work. And so, he could put together a guide on, managing your family's finances to be a happier, healthier family. Finances are one of the biggest reasons people get divorced. We don't want to see more divorce in our community. So we've taken initiative to take care of one of the biggest monsters that our community has. And so we put out this free resource and you just go blast it in front of a bunch of people. Okay. And so you could do, again, family, parenting, kids activities, places we recommend, events we love to do. Every town has annual festivals, fall festival, summer festivals, strawberry festival, pickle festival, chili festival, whatever it is. Put a list of those together in a nice calendar, right? It doesn't have to be digital. Digital is our specialty, but it doesn't have to be digital. It is something akin to the old Sunday school. There is a need. There are things that people don't know. Your church can bridge that gap. By bridging that gap, you then receive trust. You are then seen as a local authority. And so when people think of something the church could fit, if you're doing something with parenting, if you're doing something with money, when they think of those things, they also think of your church. When they think of your church, that's one more touch point. These things multiply. You ever heard it? It takes 7 contacts for someone to make a decision. On churches, it seems to be more like 12,732 for someone to actually do something. Well, guess what? Every time they think of you, that's a contact. So if you can get them thinking about you in more ways than just, hey, where do I need to go confess my sins? I need money help. I got to go talk to that pastor that used to be an accountant. Man, these kids, they need to get out of this house. Parents' night out? That's awesome. Hey, how about this strawberry picking festival that church told us about last year, right? And you've got a blanket. You've got a blanket because in order to talk to 10 people, you've probably got a blanket 1,000. And it's not expensive to do that anymore. Trust me. Okay, that said, another contact point, and when I first heard this, I thought, there's no way. People don't think this way. This is such a Christian thing to do. This is great for getting more PKs, pastor kids. But the community is not going to go for it. And I was wrong. And that's to simply offer prayer. And again, your creativity is going to be the only thing that limits your outcome. Because I think a lot of people think offer prayer. Okay, well, we're going to go door knocking and let's see who we can pray for. We're going to hold a sign on the corner that says, we'll pray for you at this stoplight. Cool. Been done before. Probably still works. Might not work for your church. Again, what works for one may not work for another. That's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's what it is. We can go a step further. You can now run Facebook ads. Pastor, any other leader, by the way, none of this has to be the pastor. In fact, I would prefer it's not the pastor, but usually when it comes to stuff like this in the traditional or the even modern American church, the pastor starts it. The fire should spread from there. Ideally, again, not good, not bad. It is what it is. I'd prefer it not to be that way, but it is what it is. So pastor, but also any other leader, any other lay person can do an ad, says, hey, want to welcome you to the area. Facebook, show this to new movers. We're going to offer to pray for you. Send us a message, private message, completely private. Let us know how we can pray for you and support you during this time. It's a transitional period. We understand there's a lot of stuff that could happen. How can we pray for you? Run an ad to parents. We want to pray for your kids. How can we pray for your kids? What struggles, what opportunities do they have coming up? What are they dealing with in school? What are they dealing with at home? What are they dealing with in their identity? We will pray for you. Just connect with us. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, you're just going to get more Christians. False. People know what a church is. People know what prayer is. We are all born with a God-given belief that there is a creator who wants to connect with us. And even so, some people who may say they're agnostic or just don't care or don't feel loved, when that time hits and your church is there offering to connect with them and pray for them, they almost revert back to that childlike stance and like, oh yeah, there is a creator that I need to talk to, or I need someone to help me talk to. It's the craziest thing. And I ran it as just like hey, we're just going to do this just because this is what this guy wants. And it did at Gamebusters. It's one of our primary offerings now. So sometimes people just want to be talked with and prayed for, and that's great. So that is the connection point. That is the most important part to get. You probably will have to go through 5, 6, 7, 12 connection points before you find the one that really gels with your church, your gifts, your leadership, and your community. Because again, if finance pastor moves into a well-to-do community and is like, our church needs to reach these people who think they're too good for God, offering finance help is not going to work because they're not doing their own finances. They're hiring an accountant. But you know what? They got spoiled, snot-nosed kids. They need parenting help. So that'll be our connection point. I don't know. I'm just talking. No judgment against. Well, I live in a well-to-do neighborhood compared to a lot of people, so no judgment there. I know you guys can have great kids, but that's the connection point. What is that connection point? As far as how you connect that point, again, there are numerous tools and ways. Okay, in person, you've got door knocking, you've got holding a sign on the street, you've got to go into farmers markets or other community events and renting a booth. Every church needs to be renting at least one booth a month. Every church should be part of the pastor's calendar to be at community events. And again, not just the pastor. Okay, I love 2x2. Go 2x2, 4 people every community event. Worst case, you get 2 people because 2 couldn't show up. You could do it all in person, or you can do it online. You can run, and when I say online and I say run a Facebook ad, I'm not talking about making a Facebook post and boosting it and hoping people will see it. Yeah, you're going to get some people to see it, but to really get effective use out of it, you need to run an ad campaign. You're going to have more tools at your disposal. You're going to have more options at your disposal, which means you got to set up your business account. There's a lot of stuff that you might have to get set up. If you're not familiar with it, it's going to take you a couple days, or you can call us and we'll do it for you. Then all you have to do is answer the phone or reply to those texts. Hello. But you can use Facebook ads. You can use Google ads. You can partner up with another organization. There is nothing wrong with your church partnering with the local charity or food pantry and saying, hey, we want to pray for the people that come through your doors. Can you send a text on our behalf? Hey, Bill and Ted's Excellent Church wants to pray for you. Send them a text or call them at this number, and they've got a team ready to pray for you and hear you out. It's scary. It's different. But that's the connection point. So once you get your connection point set, and again, a great opportunity is offering a resource or offering prayer. Once you've got that connection point, then you nurture a conversation. Churches, we've got to get better at nurturing conversations outside of the building. And also getting better at nurturing conversations starting from a very accessible, low-risk point. There was a time we all asked people, if you died and went to heaven right now and St. Peter stood at you and said, why should I let you into heaven? What would you say? That time is pretty much past us. Again, everything works. Not everything's going to work for everyone. There are some people that may work for. More power to you. I'm jealous because that'd be awesome. Okay. My thing is fire. Family, interests, religion, experience. That's my go-to, right? But you've got to make it easy and low risk to make that connection. Offering prayer is about as deep as you want to go for that first connection point. If you want to offer a devotional, that's pretty deep. And if you use a resource like, hey, we've got a new movers package where we're going to tell you all the best restaurants to eat at, all the best services and places that our members recommend or maybe even own that we know they'll take good care of you. They're like, yeah, give me that list. Perfect. Hey, is God dead? You don't just jump right into that, right? Even Jesus fed people before he talked to them. He led into it. Okay, so make it easy and low risk. And then part of the low risk means don't ask for their tax return on first contact or even second contact. Meaning, hey, glad you requested this new mover form. By the way, can you tell me how many kids you are, their ages, their grade level, your wife's name, your phone number, your email address, your address? We want to send you something. And hey, are you available Tuesday night? We'd love to bring you some chips and salsa. Which, by the way, any church that wants to bring chips and salsa on a Tuesday night, you are more than welcome to my house. All right. Again, if it works, great. If it doesn't, too bad. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just what it is. I'm going to put that on a shirt. So move down the line. If they send you a don't ask for their tax return after praying for them. Okay? You can give them a next step. Don't make the next step, hey, give me your tax return. Okay? When I say tax return, I'm talking about all that information. Again, first name, last name, email address, spouse's name, spouse's email address, phone number, kid's name, kid's grade level, age, social security number, credit card number, bank routing number. You don't want to ask for all that stuff. Make it simple. Make it easy. Make it flow. So one of the things we do is when we offer prayer and they send a prayer request via direct message, first of all, we pray with them. Then we say, is there anything else we can do to serve you and your family, even if it's just pointing you in the right direction? Now, yeah, you will get benevolence requests. And if your church isn't equipped, hey, we'd love to do that for you. We don't have that capacity right now. Again, point them in the right direction. You could also invite them to participate in an event coming up or Sunday. Hey, it's been a pleasure praying with you. I would love to meet you in person. I'll be at church this Sunday. Would you be able to come so I can meet you and sit with you and pray with you in person? Right? I think, again, on the plan a visit side, we've made it too automated and made it too disconnected to where we say, hey, glad we were able to pray for you. By the way, here's our church service and what to expect and kids check-in form. I hope to meet you there. And then we never talk to them again. No, move them down the line. And if you chat with them, if you pray with them, hey, this was really great. Can I pray with you over the phone next time? Now you got their phone number. Then you call them. You pray with them over the phone. Hey, I'd like to send you something in the mail. Is that okay? What is the best mailing address for you? Now you've got their name, phone, probably know something about their family from the prayer request, address. From that address, you can probably surmise their demographics if you know the area. Then you send them a card. It was a pleasure playing for you. It was so good to get to know you. I want to let you know that I'm here for you anytime. Give me a call at this number. Shoot me a message again. And hey, by the way, we've got this event coming up. It'd be cool to meet you there in person. Pray with you in person. You're slowly building up the relationship. When I met my wife in college marching band, I didn't walk up to her and say, hey, baby, how many kids you want? No. It was, hey, my name's Justin. We're doing a section lunch, trombone section lunch at Pizza Hut. You want to come? You want me to drive you? After the pizza party, you want to come to my place and play Guitar Hero? Nurtured. Easy and low risk. Step by step. Move them down the line. The last thing is follow up. No, sorry. The last thing is follow up, follow up, follow up. And when you feel like you followed up too much, follow up again. This is church's biggest, weakest points, is follow up. Keeping the conversation ongoing and valuable. Get their information. We give them one contact and we never talk to them again. It's kind of like when I joined my church in South Texas and I said, hey, by the way, I never got a follow up. I was talking to the pastor's secretary and he's like, yeah, we sent you something. He pulled up a little church database. I was like, yeah, I can see here we sent you an email, July something. And I'm like, dude, that was like 6 months ago. I'm not going to remember that. Probably went to my spam. We filled out a connect card. You had my phone number, my kids' names, my wife's name, my wife's phone number, my email address, and you only sent me an email. After you provide a resource for someone, after you pray for them, follow up. Hey, I prayed for you again this morning. Don't lie. Hey, I'm going to be at church this Sunday. Could you come and so we can meet you? I'd love to take you out to lunch afterwards. Hey, I'm going to meet Pastor for coffee tomorrow morning at 9. Would you be able to make it? Hey, me and the guys are going to get together, play some laser tag. You want to come? This is discipleship through relationships before people ever step foot in the building. Before I forget, there's a quote here, Meta Church by Dave Adamson, reading through it at my own slow pace. We need to stop, and this is the context of social media, but any technology. We need to stop using social media as a megaphone to broadcast our content and instead start using it as a telephone to build our community. We need to stop using all technology and the internet to just try to multiply our content. We need to use it to multiply our relationships. What would it look like, again, if someone came into your church building for the first time and you already knew their name, you already knew their struggles, you already prayed for them? And instead of saying, hi, my name is Patrick, what's your name? You say, Dave? Dave! Oh my gosh, Dave! I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to sit here. I'd love for you to sit with me. Can I get you a cup of coffee? This is me. This is what I would do. You don't have to be this extraneous. Can I get you a cup of coffee? Have you met my wife? Dave, I think you would love... By the way, Dave, what do you do? I can't remember what you did for work. Oh, okay. You're a plumber? Hey, we've got another guy here that's a plumber. You guys, I bet, would hit it off. Or, oh, you got to get out early. It's one of those things where it takes some practice, right? And pastors a lot of times will tell me, I can't do this all alone. Bro, I don't want you to do it alone. You can set this system up so you have a team doing it with you. And again, you may have to start it and the spark flies. But if you are minded on growth, if you have a growth mindset, if you're growth minded, and you've got some people that want to see results, and you've got some people that, hey, I really want to show these guys what real discipleship is and be more of a discipleship pastor than a preaching pastor, this is a great way to do it. So then you've got a team praying for people. You've got a team meeting people. You've got a team building those relationships. And yeah, you've got a team of disciples or just disciples. Hey, you know what? You've got a church. That's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful. That's what we can do. That's how we can build relationships before people even step foot in the building. We can meet them where they are, and we can use the internet to make it easy to where, yeah, you can automate a lot of this. In fact, we have. To where, hey, you're just going to wake up and you're going to have a prayer request. You're going to be working on a sermon prep. I know pastors get mad at me when I say this, but I think it's a good thing. You're going to be working on sermon prep and your phone's going to ring and it's going to say, hey, I saw your ad and I need someone to pray with. Or you're going to get a text message that says, hey, by the way, thanks again for praying with me last week. I need to go to church. I need to get my life straight. Tell me what to do. Awesome. I'd love to. Glad you thought about us. Not surprised. That is the power of this. It seems like a lot, but it doesn't have to be, okay? You got to make a connection point. You've got to nurture the conversation. You've got to follow up. And even when you think you followed up enough, follow up again. Anyone that's worked with me knows. I talked to someone yesterday for the first time. I've already talked to her 3 times already. Because I follow up. Because I care about these people. It's a lot, but you don't have to do it alone. We do have the systems that can start the conversations, get in front of people, get in front of the right people. So when they do have a prayer request, when they do request the education or the information or the resource, you get a ding. And the follow-up can come from you. Now, yes, some of that can be automated. And again, the replies go to you. The phone calls go to you or the church office. And we automate all that, and we take care of all that setup. So again, you don't got to sit behind a computer for a week trying to figure this out, only to have nothing to show for it. Instead, in a week, you're answering the phone with people that are looking for connection that you had no idea existed in this town. And they didn't even know you existed a week ago. Isn't that cool? I talked to a pastor. I probably shared this story before. I talked to a pastor a few weeks ago, and he said, one of the things that is so important in his ministry is that people in his town are literally killing themselves. Suicide rates are through the roof, and pastor's got a heart for these people. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to get in front of them and let them know there's something more than this. My own youth pastor, or a youth pastor I worked with, got a phone call in the middle of the night because one of our youth saw an Instagram post that's talking about the value of life and how there's more than our struggles. And this student was harming himself. And instead of harming himself again, which could have killed him, he called the pastor. This is what's possible when we build these connection points. This is what's possible when we nurture conversations. We don't have to get to know them when they first come to church. When they first come to church, it can be like meeting an old friend. And if you've never experienced that, you're missing out. I'm sorry. I don't like saying that. But it is something else. So if you want to look this over, give us a call, 832-861-7654. We'll put it together for you. In fact, we're running a campaign for the end of the month. If you listen to this before October 1st, 2022, we are doing a special campaign, 3 months for the price of 1. If you're listening to this afterwards, in 1 month, I mean, you could have, even just on your inactive roll, you know, if you've got a church of 100, but you've really got 500 on a roll, we can reach out to those 400 for you and kickstart those relationships again and get them back in contact with you through these connection points, through conversation nurturing, and through following up the key points. So you know exactly what you need to do. You need to create the connection point. Then you know you need to nurture the conversation and continue following up. When you do this, you're going to have people coming to church that you already know, even though you've never met in real life. It's the most amazing feeling. I can't describe it more. If you want me to try to describe it, give me a call, 832-861-7654. Like and subscribe wherever you are. Leave a review if you're listening to the podcast. I appreciate you subscribing, and we'll talk again real soon. God bless.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.